welcome to Detroit Prepping. Today I'd like to talk about March 8th, 2017. It was about 50 degrees and about 3 p.m. It happened. Grid down. More than 1 million customers without power. Imagine that. That night, it only went down to about 40 degrees. Not that bad in Michigan. Weekend before that, well, just got above 22, 24, somewhere around there. And by the 11th, 16 was the high. Never above 35. Till the 16th, 17th. And here we were. Right in the middle of grid down. Now, the first day I didn't notice anything too strange. As a matter of fact, the first day, the only thing I did was fired up my generator. The gas service hadn't been interrupted. And though I didn't find the need to heat my house to the normal 79 degrees, I did set it at 65 and was pretty comfortable the first night. By the second night, I had noticed a few families warming themselves in their vehicles. And at first it seemed kind of strange to me because no house on this street was built before 1912. No house on this street does not have at least 2 fireplaces. Now, the biggest thing I noticed was the absence of generator noise. I would estimate, by the fact that I can hear barge horns on the river down the street, a generator running at least within 2 miles. I could hear it. Maybe not 2 miles. Maybe within a mile I could surely hear it. And I didn't. Now, me always claiming to be ready in my previous videos is, I hope, a look at maybe even an inflection into people's attitudes when they say, I'm ready. I wouldn't have been ready for this 3 years prior. And I think everyone who I personally knew through this experience could not survive it without external help. Now, to me, it was a pretty amazing thing. I mean, I've lived in Michigan all my life. The power goes out every time it snows, every time it rains and freezes. However, usually these outages are less than a day, and honestly, in most cases, are less than 12 hours. To a certain extent, I understand how people could be so unaware of the fact that one day, when the lights go out, DTE won't be here to restore your service. Now, by day 4, I was the only person on this side of the street who still remained in his home. I had seen the Detroit Water and Sewage Department arrive at several homes and curb key their water service, which would lead me to believe that the temperature had become so low, something had ruptured and started leaking. Now, being a neighbor to an empty house, I know this problem well. Now, you'll have to imagine every curb key on this street, maybe some exceptions I don't know about, are at minimum 76 years old. When they are turned off, they are not off. Granted, the flow may be that of a drip or a trickle. Over days, weeks, and months, the accumulation is amazing. I know firsthand because I actually seen it come out of the windows. Now, at the point in which it comes out of a basement window in Michigan, you're at approximately 5.5 feet of water. Now, the average dimension of a home here is 36 by 48 to 62. That's an estimate. And I can only guess at the gallons of water sitting in the basement freezing. But that doesn't seem to be a concern for most people. Now, one of the first things I did when I purchased my home, being that I live in Michigan, is provide for drainage of all my water pipes within minutes, as well as a way to keep key critical sections of the plumbing up and running no matter the conditions. Grid up, grid down, water company's mad at me, whatever the case may be. By day 5, I was a lone man standing on my block. One of the most amazing things is I didn't smell any wood fires. I didn't notice any outdoor grilling, which was, for me, the easiest way to cook breakfast. Granted, after I returned home from work that night, I would usually cook in my home with my trusty kerosene heater. And the eerie silence was probably the hardest thing to start dealing with. Within that 5 days, traffic on my street had literally went from a car every 10 minutes to possibly 3 cars a day. Now, as power started to be restored, I noticed the biggest influx of neighbors did not occur for at least 5 or 6 days. Now, I would assume the biggest problem in most of my neighbors returning to their homes was the water damage from frozen and busted pipes. These are in the best of times. These are in the times where you can drive to Home Depot, purchase a propane heater, and at least heat small sections of your home. At least not abandon all you have and hold because DTE's power is not provided. In my previous videos, when I talked about the fragility of cities, even suburbs, I feel as if I could never convey to anybody watching these videos how razor thin that tab to be pulled is. ever imagine if the power went out in the whole state? If the power went out in the tri-state area? If the power went out on the East Coast and there was nowhere to run to? There was no family member to sleep on the couch, have a warm meal, watch a little TV. I had several offers from co-workers at the time who lived in the city of Detroit but had decided because of the power outage to stay with relatives outside of the affected area. Now, most of these offers came after only 2 or 3 days. And as power was restored and people started to return to their homes, there was a new scourge. Okay, not a scourge when you need them, but plumbing vans. So not only could these people not maintain for 10 days, in the worst case scenario. Now, my house was one of the last houses to be restored, and I'm sure I deserved it. An additional 3 days I suffered. So though I keep screaming 10 days, it was truly only 7 days for everybody in my neighborhood. And when the lights do go out and DTE cannot turn them back on in the middle of the winter, what will my neighbors do? See, I'm ready. I am ready for anything. I do have the ability to help, and I will help. But I can't feed the world. If nothing else from this video of a 7-day grid down, you take away these very, very important factors. Heat in winter is life. Though you may walk out to your car and be able to heat yourself for a day or two, there's no more gas to pump. Or you're sitting on a quarter of a tank. You're dead. And it ain't gonna take 5 days. So make some preparations. A generator. A simple generator. And not one to run your whole house. One that's going to run your furnace and 4 light bulbs. You know, they're less than $100. So think about it. I hope you come back. I hope you enjoyed. And if nothing else, I hope you have a good day.